It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News podcast on this Tuesday, the 8th day of October 2024. Coming to you from a rather cool Bedford County, Virginia. Got down in the 40s last night. Tomorrow night it's going to be 40 or lower. Not my favorite time of year. I know a lot of you like the fall. I could just as soon jump right over to spring. That would suit me just fine. So, how's everybody doing today? All right, today's show, of course, is brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scoot Around, and Chillie's Cruises. We got several stories this morning. Of course, the lead story again today, Category 5 hurricane aimed at Tampa Bay. Currently, no, it's still at 4. It's been vacillating back between 4 and 5, and it's going to continue to do that. I'll talk about that when we get to it. Also today, a woman struck by a bus carrying cruise guests. Firefighter Saves Overboard Passenger. Icon of the Seas cancels call, plus some other ship changes besides the ones we had yesterday. Coast Guard on another rescue. Carnival's Duffy to Skydive. How about that? Royal Caribbean cancels Asia cruises, and lots more here live at 11 o'clock this morning. Today is National Pierogi Day. Pierogies are one of the things we do on a fairly regular basis. Maybe not once a week, but once every 2 weeks. You know, that's on the regular menu here at the Farm O Falls. Amanda does a pretty good job with pierogies. And this day in 1958, Arne Larsen received the first internal heart pacemaker. The pacemaker lasted only 3 hours, developed by Dr. Rune Elmquist and implanted by Dr. Aki Sinning. However, they implanted a second backup device. Over the years, Larsen had several more pacemakers implanted and lived to the age of 86. Elmquist produced an epoxy resin case surrounding the unit using an empty kiwi shoe polish can to put the pacemaker in the dude's heart, or near the heart, however they work. A kiwi shoe polish. I mean, you got to be old to even know what a kiwi shoe polish can is. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting fact. If you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and voila, up pops the Fat Travel Guy. If you're listening via the podcast, if you ever want to jump over to the video feed, there's always a link in the description of the podcast. So you can do just that, no matter where you're listening to the podcast. Any of them, just go to the description. There'll be a link, and I'll take you to the video feed. All right, I've always made it a habit, folks, of making sure my audience is well-educated and familiar with various laws and regulations as it affects cruising. This is a travel warning for Portugal, specifically holiday makers. who could face fines from 625 euros to 750 euros. The Foreign Office also has advice for UK travelers heading to Portugal, Madeira, Porto Santo, and the Azores. An autumn begins Portugal, and it remains a holiday hotspot, offering year-round mild and pleasant temperatures. But before you take a stroll on the beach or a dip in the ocean, travel expert Jessica Bollinger is warning tourists that they must be aware of a simple mistake that could end up in a fine of £750, from 625 to 750. Here's what you got to be careful about doing it wrong, folks. Peeing in the ocean in Portugal is not just one of those unspoken rules. Whilst granted, it must be a difficult law to police, it's been put in place for a very good reason. So, folks, if you're in the ocean in Portugal, don't pee in the ocean. What can I say? I got nothing to add to that one. Just keep that rule up your sleeve, so to speak. Oy vey. All right. I'll be back with today's news after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. And we've unfortunately got to start with the weather. All right, let's see if I can explain a little bit about what's happened with the weather. Yesterday, we had rapid intensification up to Category 5, well into Category 5. It got up to 180 at one point, miles per hour. However, it has dropped down some. Now, the reason for that, there's a couple things that played into this. One, the system was skirted the Yucatan Peninsula, and while the eye itself didn't go on land, enough of the system was delivering blows to Yucatan that it weakened the system enough for Hurricane Milton to go into an eye wall replacement cycle. Currently, Hurricane Milton is located about 100 miles northeast of Progreso, Mexico, 545 miles southwest of Tampa. Currently, the residents in Florida are urged to use today to prepare for Milton's arrival and to evacuate if told to do so by local officials. Hurricane and storm surge warnings are now issued for portions of the east coast of Florida, as well as the warnings that were issued yesterday. Currently, the sustained winds are 145 miles an hour. It's moving east-northeast at 12. The minimum pressure is up from 897 yesterday afternoon to 929. The eye wall replacement is pretty much done now, and the resulting internal restructuring has caused the system to get back into a form where it could strengthen. It still has a lot of very deep, very warm water to go across, which most likely it's going to re-strengthen back to Category 5. Now, whether or not it lands at Category 5 is still debatable. In addition to the warnings issued yesterday for the west coast of Florida, a storm surge warning has been issued for Volusia to the Brevard County line, northward to the mouth of St. Mary's River, including the St. Johns River. A hurricane warning has been issued for the east coast of Florida from Indian River, St. Lucie County line, northward to Ponte Verde Beach. A tropical storm warning has been issued for the southeast coast of Florida, south of the Indian River St. Lucie County line to Flamingo, and for the northeast coast of Florida, north of Ponte Vedra Beach to the mouth of the St. Mary's River. A turn toward the east-northeast and northeast is expected today and tomorrow. On the forecast track, the center of Milton is forecast to approach the west coast of Florida Peninsula on Wednesday. The hurricane is forecast to make landfall Wednesday night. Maximum sustained winds are currently at 145, like I said, which is an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. Fluctuations in intensity are expected now between Category 4 and Category 5. Milton is forecast to remain an extremely dangerous hurricane through landfall in Florida. Tampa Bay could see 10 to 15 feet of storm surge with 12 to 18 inches of rain. Take precautions and assume and prepare for the worst, Florida. That's the best advice I can give you. Also in the Atlantic, Leslie has been downgraded to a tropical storm about 1,335 miles west-northwest of the southernmost Cabo Verde Islands, carrying sustained winds at 70. Present movement is to the south at 13 miles an hour, to the northwest, at 13 miles an hour. Pressure is 989 and rising. Leslie should continue to gradually weaken during the next several days. Now, there's also a broad area of low pressure that's near the northern Bahamas with disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity. Some development of the system is possible during the next day or two while the low moves northeastward to east-northeastward around 15 miles an hour. Upper level winds are likely to increase later in the week, which should limit further development. You're talking 20% chance over the next 48 hours, 20% chance over the next 7 days. In the Pacific, you've got the same storm we talked about yesterday. It's just moved up the coast a little bit. So basically, shower and thunderstorm activities associated with an area of low pressure, about 150 miles west of Manzanilla. It's changed very little since yesterday. Only a small increase in organization could result in the formation of a tropical depression during the next day or so. By late Wednesday, upper level winds are forecast to become more unfavorable and further development is not expected. The system is forecast to move slowly westward to northwestward, roughly parallel to the coast of Mexico. Interests along the southwestern coast of Mexico should monitor the progress of the system. Regardless of the development, the disturbance could bring areas of heavy rain to portions of southwestern Mexico during the next couple of days. Still looking at 70% chance of formation over the next 48 hours, 70% chance over the next 7 days. While Milton was just sitting down there right off the Yucatan, exploding, literally, as it went from Category 1 to Category 5 in like 12 hours. It brought just tons of rain and wind all through the Yucatan Peninsula, lots of flooding. You know, they got hit pretty hard without getting hit. So, going to have some damage to clean up down there, too. A cruise ship shore excursion ended in tragedy for a 75-year-old local woman in Canada who was struck by a bus carrying cruise ship guests. The accident happened in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. The Coach Atlantic bus was carrying guests from the Celebrity Eclipse cruise ship. The pedestrian was struck by the bus and killed as it headed out from the port area on a tour. She was pronounced dead sometime later in the hospital. The incident is still under investigation. An intersection in downtown Charlottetown was cordoned off for about 4 hours while police surveyed the crash scene and interviewed passengers from the bus. Most of the cruise guests were transferred to another vehicle to continue with their planned excursion, although some opted to return to the ship. We have the equipment you need to stay mobile. Whether you need a wheelchair, scooter, power chair, rollator, oxygen, or other pieces of mobility equipment, Scootaround, powered by Will, can help. Once you've booked your rental, we can deliver it to wherever you need. For your mobility needs, contact me or call Scootaround at 888-441-7575. Use SRN 11137 for the best rates. An Irish firefighter on vacation sprang into action when a cruise ship passenger went overboard while the ship was docking in Honduras. Rory Foy responded swiftly as has been praised as a hero for his quick thinking and bravery in diving into the water to save the passenger. Rory, who is a swiftwater rescue technician, sprang into action to grab one of the life buoys which had just been thrown into the water to assist the passenger. After diving in, he swam to the passenger with the life buoy and brought the passenger safely to shore. The passenger was reported to be in good condition despite the fall. The world's largest cruise ship has become the latest to change its itinerary to stay where the water is smooth and the skies are blue. The family-friendly cruise line notified passengers on board the 5,600 guest ship, current 7-night sailing to the Eastern Caribbean and Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which embarked from Miami on October 5th, that the call on Coco Cay would no longer be possible. Hurricane Milton forces Celebrity Reflection to modify its upcoming voyage with a newly added stop in Nassau, replacing a visit to Key West. And Grandeur of the Seas will be sailing a vastly different itinerary on her Monday, October the 7th departure than guests initially planned to enjoy. The ship will now visit Nassau as the only port, rather than 2 destinations in Mexico. All thanks to Hurricane Milton. The United States Coast Guard has once again come to the rescue, this time on behalf of an elderly passenger on board Carnival Venezia. The 85-year-old woman, whose identity has been kept anonymous to protect her privacy, began to experience stroke-like symptoms about 2 days ago on the Eastern Caribbean sailing, which embarked from New York City on October the 4th. Thankfully, the airlift was successfully performed without a hitch on Sunday, while the ship was an estimated 98 miles off the coast of North Carolina's Cape Lookout. Carnival Cruise Line President Christine Duffy has accepted the challenge to tandem skydive on October the 19th, the company announced in a press release. Duffy is set to skydive as the Carnival Paradise departs from Port Tampa Bay in a stunt planned along with the Round Canopy Parachute Team, a nonprofit that honors the history of Allied airborne forces, as well as members of the USS OCOM Para Commandos, a United States Special Operations Command aerial parachute demonstration team. The company's president has set a goal of raising $50,000 to benefit hurricane relief efforts through the Gary Sinise Foundation, established in 2011 by award-winning actor and humanitarian Gary Sinise. Royal Caribbean International canceled 2 cruises on board Voyager of the Seas that were scheduled to sail to the Middle East and Asia in November of 2025. According to statements sent to book guests, the sailings were redeployed to avoid unrest in the Red Sea. After exploring all options, the company decided to cancel the November 3rd and November 17th, 2025 sailings, offering guests alternative options. We just had a substantial price drop on the cruise with Chillie, Miami to Southampton cruise on the Norwegian Bliss, which sails January 4th, 2025. Transatlantic for 13 nights. The current pricing as of today, studio cabins for solos start at $834.10. Inside cabins for double occupancy start at $934.10 per person. Those includes taxes and port charges. This is a 13-night transatlantic cruise with stops in Ponta Delgado, Lisbon, Vigo, and Le Havre before arriving in Southampton on the 17th of January. Join us on the Bliss Transatlantic, cruising from Miami. Call me, 434-258-9264. See ya on the Bliss. And that's going to wrap up the news portion of today's show. So let's hop over here in the chat room and see who might be with us today and who's fussing at me. Johnny Depp, I kind of doubt that. How are you doing today? Something tells me that's a phony one. But if it's not, hi, Johnny. Enjoy your work. Here's another one. Monday Wisdom Openwa Prince. Okay. Hot Air Tom is here. Katie's here. Gary Older Than Dirt's here. Stay safe down there, Gary. Bob Stamper's with us. Hey, Bob. Anna Reese is with us. How are you doing? Doing quite well, thank you. Katie says, I think Hurricane is back to a 4. Yes, it is currently a 4. It's been to 5 like 3 times during the night and back and forth and back and forth. I think it's going to come, as it gets closer, it's going to go back to a 5. It's got all that hot water to go over yet. It really hasn't been over the hottest of the water. So I think that could possibly strengthen it back up. That's my take on it, Katie. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it comes in at a 4 or even a 3. I just got a real bad feeling about this one. Hot Air says, good morning to Katie and Gary and Bob. Kenneth's with us. Kenneth's up in Pennsylvania. Says, good morning, everybody. I'm very cold, Pennsylvania. 34 early this morning. Yeah, I figured you'd be a little bit colder than we are here. I'm not real happy about it. Katie says, I chatted with Mr. Bucket List. He's hunkering down outside of Tampa. There's Todd. Good morning, Todd. Lucy Peters is with us, another person from X. Says, how are you doing? Doing fine, thank you. Hot Air Tom says, wow, I sent that Portugal article to Chillie. What a find. Yes, Hot Air, you did. I didn't have a chance to use it yesterday. So the original article did come from Hot Air Tom. Ross Lynn is with us. Says hi. Lucy says, I love your new. I'm not sure what new is. A good rule to remember. Thank you, Katie. Emily finally woke up. Good morning, Em. Kenneth says, boy, I would really love to move to Florida to get out of the cold, but it's not worth this every year. Those poor people with those storms. Yeah, I know, and I'm afraid it's just going to keep getting worse. That's what scares me. Guest is back with us. Good, cool morning to all. Be safe in Florida. Thank you very much, guest. We do appreciate that, and I agree. I hope all my friends stay safe down there. There's Roger in Jacksonville. Speaking of staying safe in Florida. Hot Air Tom says, he's just speaking to everybody. Emily says, hello, howdy to Roger. Emily says, hey there, Hot Air Tom, how are you? Jamin's with us. Good morning, Jamin. Glad to have you back. Folks on Sun Princess are getting an extended cruise. Ship is staying at sea until the 11th. Don is also on that cruise. Kenneth says, Tom and Chillie, we have to go on the Sun Princess. The next ship we have to go on. I'd like to go on Sun Princess. Yeah. I got you, Kenneth. I caught the typo, but I didn't say it. I knew that was a typo. I'd love to go on the Sun Princess. I really would. I think the prices are a little high, as they often do on new ships. But I'd like to see that come down a little bit. But it's maybe time for me to price it, even if it's out ahead a little bit. Gretchen says, I'm on the Sun Princess Sanctuary Collection, November 30th. Gretchen says, hi, everybody. Just walked in the house. Everybody ready for Milton? Yeah, I think so. What is that about? Sanctuary Collection. That's the private, like the suite on Princess is called the Sanctuary. The expensive rooms. They got their own private dining room. The regular us or in folks can't go up there. It's a private area. So yeah, I mean it's a premium price, Emily. Roger saying hi to everybody. Twins coming up today after securing their boats. There's Emma Cruises. Hey, Chillie, sending all my good vibes across the pond. Thanks, Emma. We got a lot of folks that could use that. Uncut Funk says, good morning. Uncut Funk, glad to have you with us. Kenna says, I don't hear Chillie. Is the sound off? It doesn't appear to be. Oh, Kenneth fixed it. Okay, that was on Kenneth's end, not my end. Uncut, this is a cruise travel and news show. In case you did not realize, good morning to you. That's very sweet of Emma Cruises to pop in. I love Emma to death. Longtime fan of Chillie. Thank you, Emma. Uncut says thank you to M. Long time no see, Emily says to Emma. No problem, Uncut. Just so you're aware of what kind of show this is. And we welcome everybody. Whether you're a travel person or not, feel free to join us. Katie says, stay safe, Roger. Well, Gretchen, excuse me. Chris in London in late January 2025. Any chance could meet you over tea or a meal? Emma Cruz. I'm sorry. I jumped down from Emily's to Hot Air Tom's. I'll be touring in London in late January. Any chance we can meet you over tea or a meal? I'm planning on it. I haven't invited Emily yet, but I got to look at our schedule and see when we got a good shot of getting a few folks together one night. Maybe an adult beverage. But yeah, I certainly hope there's a couple of people I really want to see while we're in London. And Emma is definitely one of them. We'll be staying at the Intercontinental near Buckingham Palace. Tom, bring the orange juice and vodka. Tom, you're going to never live down the orange juice and vodka. Oh, I left that message on. That's my bad, Kenneth. I'm just scrolling down through here and not paying any attention. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. Again, thanks for all of you being here. Emma, thank you so much for popping in. Good to see you. We need to get together again. We haven't done a chat for a long time. We need to catch up. So, and talk about me coming over your way in, let's see, in January. Yeah. Crappy weather, but I want to be over there. So warm the cockles of your heart. Yeah, no. I have a drink though. All right, guys, that's it for today. As always, smash that thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. We had a nice audience today from X, 151 people from X. That's a new number. I'm not talking to you, WDBJ TV. Nice number from X today. Olamide says hi there from X also. So glad you stopped in. And that's it for today, guys. I'll be back same time, same channel tomorrow with more travel and cruise industry news. Hopefully by then we'll have a much better handle on what Milton is going to do. I don't see it coming ashore until reasonably late tomorrow evening. Possibly Thursday morning, depending on exactly where it comes ashore. But I'm thinking 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow night's going to be landfall. Of course, you're going to get started hitting a lot earlier, especially if it's a 5. Now, that's, of course, and this is one of those situations, guys, due to everything, the angle of this thing is going to hit Florida, the amount of warm water it's still got to go over, the expanding wind field. Just don't pay attention to the strength, whether it's 3, 4, or 5. Look out, you're going to have a hell of a lot of storm surge, a lot of wind, a lot of rain. My gut feeling says this is going to be, a really bad one. So all of you guys stay safe. All right, I'll talk to everybody tomorrow. As always, thanks for being here. Stay safe, stay healthy. Think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a great day, everybody. See y'all tomorrow.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.